Okay, to be serious, these are your extra answers. Okay, anyway, I'm going to do these 10 things. Now I've read the 10th one. I'm going to count them down because that's the order they're on in this page thing. I'm going to read them. I read the 10th one, but I haven't read any of the rest of them. I'm just going to read them and answer as quick as I can. Or, I mean, I'm not going to read them ahead of time and prepare these answers. Okay. Number 10, the concentration camp. You're an inmate in a concentration camp. A sadistic guard is about to hang your son who tried to escape and wants you to pull the chair from underneath him. He says that if you don't, he will not only kill your son, but some other innocent inmate as well. You don't have any doubt that he means what he says. What should you do? I refuse to pull the chair. You can't turn me into a brute just because you're going to be a brute. You're responsible for what you do. 9. The accident. You are an emergency worker that has just been called to the scene of an accident. When you arrive, you see that the car belongs to your wife. Fearing the worst, you rush over to see she is trapped in her car with another man. She sees you, and although barely conscious, he managed to mouth the words, "I'm sorry." You don't understand, but her look answers your question. The man next to her is her lover, with whom she's been having an affair. You reel back in shock, devastated by what her eyes have just told you. As you step back, the wreck in front of you comes into focus. You see your wife is seriously hurt and she needs attention right away. Even if she gets attention, there's a very high chance that she'll die. You look at the seat next to her and see her lover. He's bleeding heavily from a wound to the neck. You need to stem the flow of blood immediately. It will only take about 5 minutes to stop, but it will mean your wife will definitely die. If you tend to your wife, however, the man will bleed to death, and despite the fact it could have been avoided. Who should you choose to work on? I would choose whoever was the appropriate person to work on if I didn't know either of them, because at that point I am an emergency worker and I'm supposed to follow some sort of procedure. And that is the answer to that dilemma. And it's going to be a tragedy no matter what, right? But that is the answer. You have to follow your professional procedure. Spam filtering. Coffee. You are the network administrator of a rather large company. You have a young family and need your job to support them. As part of your responsibility as a network administrator, it is to monitor the emails for the organization. Usually this just means occasionally allow through emails for staff members that have been accidentally blocked by the spam filters. One day you get a help desk request from a staff member asking for an email to get released. Normally, it's standard procedure to accept this time the request has come from the wife of a very good friend of yours. You recognize the name on the help desk request, so quickly attend to the problem. As part of the procedure, you need to manually open the email to ensure that it isn't spam. So you do so, and you discover that it certainly isn't spam. You find that it's actually an email to your friend's wife from her lover. You scan the rest of the contents of the email. Okay, well, why? You can't make me do things like that. I would anyway. And there is no doubt that she has been having an affair for some time now. You release the email, but you can't decide what to do. Your initial reaction is to call your friend and tell him about the email. However, you quickly realize that company policy is very strict about revealing the contents of confidential emails to staff members, regardless of the contents, unless someone's life is in immediate danger. Under no circumstances are you permitted to reveal information. In any case, you know that revealing this information presents great risk, because even if you don't do it directly, there is a good chance that the dots will be joined somewhere along the line and you'll be found out. However, you feel that by not telling your friend, you're aiding his wife get away with adultery and this troubles you greatly. What do? That's between my friend and I. I'm not going to tell you. The neighbor. You have a wonderful daughter. She's 8 years old and has always been a happy, outgoing child. Oh, is this the one you asked? Yeah. Okay, so I answered that one. I would not bear witness for the guy. And I did that in detail. Pregnant woman, number 6. How am I doing? Okay, 4 minutes. Okay, number 6. A pregnant woman leading a group of people out of a cave on a coast is stuck in the mouth of that cave. In a short time, the high tide will be upon them, and unless she is unstuck, they will all be drowned except the woman, whose head is out of the cave. Fortunately or unfortunately, in parentheses, someone has with him a stick of dynamite. There seems to be no way to get the pregnant woman loose without using the dynamite, which will inevitably kill her. But if they do not use it, everyone will die. What should they do? Well, that's a bad example, because the dynamite will probably kill them all. But if I fixed it, I'd try to get the woman through. I would try to get the woman through. Nieces and daughters. I'd die trying to get the woman through, you understand? Okay, nieces and daughters. You and your family are going away for the weekend. Your daughter is 7 and is best friends with your niece, who is also 7. Your families are very close, and your daughter asks if your niece can come with you on your holiday. You've been on holidays together before and don't see any problem, so you agree. You arrive at your holiday destination, and the house you're staying at backs onto a beach. The girls ask if they can go for a swim. You tell them that they have to wait until you have unpacked the car, but they can play in the sand directly in front of the beach. They run down to the sand and you begin to unpack the car. After about 5 minutes, you hear screaming coming from the direction of the beach, and it sounds like the girls. You run down to see what the matter is, and you discover they hadn't been listening. You have gone out for a swim. There is no one else on the beach, and the girls are caught in a rip. The girls are really struggling, particularly your niece, who isn't as strong a swimmer as your daughter. You swim out quickly, but when you get there, you realize that there's no way you'll be able to get both girls back onto shore on your own. You realize that an agonizing decision will need to be made. You need to decide which of the girls you will rescue first. You have enough strength and energy to rescue them both, but you can only do it one at a time. You look at the 2 girls, and your niece is really struggling to hold her head above water, and you know if you take your daughter back first, there will be little or no chance that she will survive. Your daughter is also struggling, but is much stronger in the water, and you estimate that if you take your niece back to shore first, there's probably a 50% chance that your daughter will be able to stay afloat long enough for you to return, but you simply don't know how long she'll hold on for. Well, I would probably get the niece, because that is the probability on probability. I would also be likely to try to save them both at once. I think possibly that could be done, make them figure out a way, be creative, have them climb on back. But given the situation that they said, I would go ahead and get the niece. I know people that would believe that's wrong, but that's what I would do. Hit and run. How are we doing? Okay, 7 minutes. I might not do all of these. I'm still going to read them quick like this. People can go to the link that, go to your video from here and go to the link if they want to read them themselves. One morning you were driving to work, and as per usual, you were running a bit late, so you were driving a touch faster than the speed limit. You reach down to your stereo to change the CD when all of a sudden your car hits something solid. You spin to a stop, but not before several more cars have run into you and each other in an attempt to avoid the accident. As you look up and out of your car, you can see that you hit a person and that the person is not looking very good. In fact, you are sure that they're dead. You shakily get out of the car, look around at the damage that has been caused. Several cars have been badly smashed up, but more importantly, you've killed someone with your careless driving. As you were standing there in shock, a woman comes up to you, tears running down her face and obviously very shook up. As a natural reaction, you ask her what is wrong. She gives you a funny look, and then she explains that she just ran over someone. You ask her where this person is, and she points towards the person that you ran over. You don't understand why, but for some reason this woman thinks that she caused this accident and killed the person, when in fact you are well aware that you were the cause. Whoever accepts the blame is likely to be placed in jail for a very long time. If you let the woman take the blame, there's a very good chance you will get away with it. However, there's also the chance that you could be placed in jail for even longer for trying to cover it up. I'd tell the truth. I'd tell the truth. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong, but I would take responsibility. Jeez, I fucking wish everybody would do that. Okay, drug bust. You are on a holiday in Bali with your 18-year-old son and wife. You have been there for a week and are ready to head home. All 3 of you are at the airport getting ready to board your plane when an armed officer comes around with a sniffer dog. You have all your bags on a trolley, and the dog sniffs at both your wife and your bag and passes over it. However, when he gets to your son's bag, he begins to get a bit more active. You look over at your son and he's looking a little nervous. You know he smoked a little marijuana in his time, but generally he's a good kid and you certainly didn't think he'd actually be stupid enough to bring it back on a plane with him. First you feel angry that he would do such a thing and start planning your responsibility lecture, but then you realize that you are in Bali and that they have a zero-tolerance drug policy on drugs, meaning your son would be jailed for life or worse executed if he does have some illicit materials in his bag. You look at your wife and realize she has come to the same conclusion and has gone pale with fear. The armed officer accompanying the dog is beginning to look more stern with every sniff the dog takes and looks directly at you and asks you to open the bag. You do, and as the officer begins to take things out of the bag, you see to your horror that there is a small quantity of marijuana stashed in with your son's belongings. The officer looks at you and asks, "Whose bag is this?" You realize that you have to answer, but the answer won't be easy. You see your wife in the corner of your eye, and she is about to step forward and claim it as her own, what do you say? Oh, that's so hard. I mean, basically, I believe people are responsible for their own actions. So in just about every example like this, I would want the person responsible to take responsibility. I mean, somebody's going to have to die. It shouldn't be anybody, obviously. But if somebody has to, that's the person it should be. Now, your own child can be an exception. You can say, well, so they've made a mistake. They have a life ahead of them. They're going to make it further into the future than me. You know, they are part of my survival. My procreation is part of my survival. So there's even a personal interest if I take the fall. And then my wife is about to do it. Basically, I would tend to let the son take the fall for his responsibility. But in this case, it would be very tempting to take the responsibility myself, and I certainly think that that would be a big thing to do. So.